Okay, I think we're ready to get started here. First of all, thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Robert Ruiz, and I'm with Public Works, County of San Luis Obispo. There's going to be 3 of us speaking to this afternoon, and this is the outreach meeting for the county's Animal Services Facility project. And the purpose of this meeting is to obviously stir up interest amongst the design and building community out there. It's a pretty good-sized project. And then to give you the opportunity to ask questions and obviously to network amongst yourselves. And for reference, this meeting is being live streamed, and I have a feeling that we have quite an attendance online. And we're going to try and get a sign-up sheet or a list of the attendees that logged on, and that'll be available. We'll tack it onto the sign-up sheet here in case anybody wants to do some networking. So we've got this room until 7:30. I don't imagine that it will take that long. Presentation will take 30 to 45 minutes, and then we have an opportunity for Q&A after that. Restrooms are down the hall here if anybody needs them. And then I've got, just before I get started, just so we get an idea, I'll introduce the team here in a minute, but just so we get an idea who's here is anyone here representing a DB entity that would be the lead on the project? In other words, not a subcontractor or a sub-design professional? 4. Okay, great. Thank you. Who here has been involved in a multi-million-dollar design-build project in the past? Great. And who here, if they get selected to choose to work on this project, would it be their first experience in the County of San Luis Obispo or working for the County of San Luis Obispo? Okay. And who here is a subcontractor or a sub-design professional looking to connect with the prime DBE firm? Okay, so that's great. We have a good mix of attendees here. And then the last question, and the most important one for me, is who here is excited about the project? All right, great. Thank you. So, our agenda for today. Welcome, like I said, introductions. I'll introduce the team in a minute. We'll talk about where the site is located relative to the city of San Luis Obispo and where it's situated and what other facilities are located there as well. We'll give you an overview of the project. We'll talk about why we're doing design build as opposed to design bid build. This is a pilot project, first of its kind for the County of San Luis Obispo in terms of design build. We have organizational charts for the owners team, which is the County of San Luis Obispo and all the cities within the county, and our consultant that's going to be assisting us through this process. And then we have what we imagine would be the organizational chart for the design build entity side of it as well. Project goals. Every project has a goal, and we have specific projects for this goal we'll share. And then we have our tentative schedule that we'll lay out. And then at the end of the presentation, we'll have an opportunity for Q&A. So if you have questions, if you wouldn't mind just holding them to the end, and we'll address them there, and we can jump back to any slides if we need to. So first of all, Animal Services Facility. It's the County of San Luis Obispo's Animal Services Facility, and it's not the County of San Luis Obispo's Animal Services Facility as in the County of San Luis Obispo, the entity. It's the county as a whole. So the stakeholders are the county and its 7 cities. So it's City of Atascaderos, City of Arroyo Grande, Grover Beach, Morro Bay, Paso Robles, Pismo Beach, and San Luis Obispo. They all have a stake in this project, and they're all part of a steering committee that will direct decisions and help this project maneuver through as we work through it. The county has been tasked with managing this project. My name, like I said, is Robert Ruiz, and we have Steve Neer here on my left. We're kind of the lead for the county. We also have Jeff Forst in the back, who's design division manager, and then we have our county management, Dave Flynn and Colt Eisenwein, that will step in and out as needed. As with any design build project, larger ones, we do have a CMPM, construction manager, master architect, and Kitchell is that entity. And we have Rick Barton here from Kitchell. He'll be speaking to some of the slides. The facility, the end user, if you will, or the end operator will be County Health Services, and Dr. Eric Anderson is the director of the Animal Services. He unfortunately couldn't make it tonight, but he will be part of the process as we move through this. George Myers with Swap Myers Architects is the bridging documents architect or master architect, and we have on the wall here some renderings, a site plan, and a floor plan that you're welcome to look at when we're through with the presentation, and Rick will speak to the floor plan. And with that said, I will pass it on to Steve.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Steve Neer. Bear with the mic might not be covering you, but we're trying to also get these mics out to the GoToMeeting, the web feed. So I'll try to speak loud too if it's not amplified up. We're going to talk about the site location. For those of you who are not familiar with San Luis Obispo, it's not actually in the city of San Luis Obispo. It's outside off Highway 1 at the what we call the County Operations Center. So the county has land vacant and developed land out at the Operations Center, which is about 5 miles plus or minus northwest of the city, out past Cal Poly and the jail, the corrections facility. So we'll talk in a little more detail about the site. Oh, there you go. I wanted to bring up the master plan. The county has been involved with redoing the master plan both in City of SLO recently, and before that we were looking at long-term development out at the County Operations Center. So what you see on this slide is our site for the Animal Services Facility in this location. Per the map, we're looking at kind of the eastern portion of the camp, what we call the camp, the County Op Center. On the west side of the Operations Center, we, just for size purposes, we have one parcel that's about 55 acres that goes from, about this location back towards the military property on the west side of the County Op Center. So sheriff facilities, the jail is back there. We have fleet services. We have juvenile hall, which just kind of underwent a pretty major renovation project. So we have a lot of other facilities off the map, but central to the project here is the Woods Humane Society, which is just adjacent to our site. And we also have solar, coming to the county. So we have a future solar farm, across from the extension of Oklahoma Avenue. And, we also are programming some use for the old animal services, decommissioning and, future functions over there. Possibly, it will turn into, edge of the road yard for Public Works. So, the eastern portion is about 33 acres. So we have about 90 acres total out at the County Op Center. Let's talk about the site. It is a nearly level, vacant 5-acre site. Like we said, we had we have like a site plan over there to look at. Also, if you downloaded the documents, the bridging documents have had, the project manual and the drawings basically separated, so you're able to get a feel for the site. The location is out at the County Ops Center. We've been working with Public Works internally, the Public Works Environmental Division, and we are looking at a draft mitigated negative declaration to maybe coincide with close to the time frame of the award of the design build entity contract. So we're working on that. What we know about the environmental is that screening from Highway 1, which is a scenic highway. You know, it's considered scenic by Caltrans, and so some form of visual screening we're looking at as a mitigation measure, and also the height limitation is 19 foot 4 inches. You know, single story. So let's talk about soils a little bit. What we found in these soils, as well as many of the soil profiles around the county ops center, is liquefaction, you know, seismic liquefaction potential in the soil. So we have soils reports, and you know, the remediation options for those liquefaction soils are deep foundations, what they're calling like vibrated stone or rock columns, possibly over excavate, remove, you know, and replace with suitable soil. So I think in the design build entity, you know, whatever's going to be most cost effective, you know, you're going to have probably, you know, options, but it is, you know, kind of a deeper system than just, you know, doing your pad slab on grade and you know, go from there. Site preparation, want to talk a little bit about flood zone mapping. We have done more recent flood studies from late 2017, I believe, and they projected a 100-year flood zone. We are, you know, it does kind of intersect with our building in areas of the site. So, you know, the options are to basically flood-proof the facility, or, you know, basically raise the pad elevation. So I think that, combined with, you know, the liquefaction, the soil remediation, is something to consider on the you know, design build entity side. Let's talk real quick about the building itself. There's really no limitations on construction type due to the size of the facility. It's a type 1 through 5. I mean, basically type 5 fire sprinkler building, single story, and approximately 15,000 square feet. The bridging documents basically, and the criteria, you know, lead us towards a type of building that they've called, you know, type 5 steel frame on a sorry for the background noise there, on a you know, slab with a metal stud infill, and you know, it's a composite construction, so there's quite a bit of CMU work in the kennels, and the exterior, as you can see from the rendering over there, is like a 3-part cement plaster. It has a single ply membrane roof, so that's most of what you're going to find in the bridging requirements, or the bridging criteria documents. We're gonna build this facility to LEED Silver standards, but without certifying LEED, which costs some additional monies. We are talking about the 2016 California Building Code and Cal Green code book for project requirements. Let me talk a little bit about stormwater. We do, based on the site design, and the bridging documents kind of show some areas, we do have 4 tiers of stormwater requirements that are going to be applicable to this particular facility. So, you know, site design, runoff reduction, we're looking at water quality enhancement, runoff retention, and peak management. So, you know, it's fairly extensive, the stormwater requirements, and, you know, it would be a full SWIP, I'm sure, for this project too. What's shown in the site design right now is areas that have been calculated for bioretention. We have some bioswales. We have on-site management, even though it's a complicated facility with dog washing, kennels that have to go to the sewer, but stormwater gets separated out and falls naturally and gets disconnected from the building drainage system and can go basically towards our bioswales and re-perk back into the site. There is also a skilled labor requirement for design build in the state of California, which is called out. The design build entity and subcontractors are required to comply with Public Contract Code Section 22164C. So basically, that is a skilled, trained labor and apprenticeship standards. So it will require some form of a project labor agreement that basically, that calls out, those standards. There's certain trades that, apprentices are required for. And so it would have a certain amount of monthly reporting to it. So.
Okay, and then I will speak as to why is the county doing design build versus design bid build, which is what this county has done historically. Basically, it's the new way of delivering projects. And speaking to some of our sister counties throughout the state, they are using design build extensively for facilities, and they're finding that it's a means to better manage risk, not only for the owner but also for the builder. Statistics show that design build projects come in quicker than design bid build projects. They come in at a less cost, and there's fewer or no claims at the conclusion of design build projects. So it's a win-win all around. There's counter arguments to design build, but they're pale in comparison to the benefits from the entities that we've spoken about and have experience doing design build. So risk management, and then the county wants to establish an environment where the team, if you will, it's a collaborative effort to build out the project. Traditionally, with the design bid build project, the day you sign the contract, it's contentious because it's usually low bid. The designers on the owner side, the builders, anybody that's been involved in that knows how that works. So trying to get away from that and create a collaborative team that is not only for this project, but indications are that the county is going to use this delivery method in the future. So we want to get local contractors, designers on board, possibly on this project, and if not on this project, on future projects. But it's going to be a way to move forward. We want to have a single entity who is responsible for design and construction, and then also to control the schedule a little bit better. And not necessarily just in design or the entitlement process, but during construction, if in a design build situation, the contractor is not waiting on the owner's designer for responses of RFIs or whatnot. It's all internal, so things can move along a little bit quicker. And then you also minimize change orders and rework when it's a design build, because the designer and the builder are collaboratively working in the field every day trying to figure out solutions, low-cost solutions, and being innovative. And the single interest is what's better for the project. And ultimately, it provides the best value for the project itself and for the builder, because the builder has ways of doing things that fit their means and methods that could be more profitable to them. And if that's the case, awesome. If it benefits both the owner at the same time. Rick Barton with Kitchell will speak to the next few slides, and then one thing that he will speak to that's very important is what the county has selected as far as the selection process for the DB entity. So that's a couple slides behind this.
Good afternoon. We've alluded to the floor. Over there is the floor plan and the site plan. Yeah, you did care of that for me. I appreciate it. A lot of effort was put into this, working with the managers of the facilities, his staff, working with our bridging architect, Many meetings, many hours spent together, really defining this floor plan and really kind of the operational flow of the facility. I don't know if any of you have been out to the existing animal shelter that's out in their site out there. Woefully inadequate, been there many, many years. They are making the best do that they can with that facility. But they've really, through the years and having to suffer through that facility, really know what they want and what they need to operate effectively. So we spent a lot of time, developed this floor plan. Is it cast in stone? It's not, but it does take into account that operational functionality and the adjacencies of those different functions that were very important to the animal shelter out there. And so, again, a lot of hours. I think we've got planned a total of 42 regular indoor-outdoor kennels that are pretty typical with an animal shelter. Masonry construction for the kennels, guillotine doors, kennel-type cages. We have 6 quarantine and protective custody kennels that set off from that area, out in this area here. We have the typical things you would see in an animal facility, such as a vehicle sally port for the animal control officers to come in and bring animals in, intake them into the facility, animal control officer stations where they can fill out reports, an exam room where they can examine the animals when they come into intake. We have quarantine rooms for both dogs and cats for sick animals that can be quarantined, feral cat rooms, community cat rooms, small dog puppies rooms. We have a medical treatment, food prep, laundry, grooming, euthanasia, unfortunately, but that's a reality of a facility such as this. Chemical cleaning. Cleaning is a very important component for disease control in a facility such as this. So that's something to really pay attention to. And then, of course, your standard administrative offices and support functions. The site, you can see this is immediately adjacent to the Woods Humane Society facility, a beautiful facility there to the west. And so the design and the siting of this facility took into account that adjacency and the interrelationship between the two facilities. The county facility do send their animals to Woods for spay and neutering services. And so there's a transfer of animals that takes place from one facility to the other. And then we've also factored in the entry into the two facilities, and you can see kind of a shared entry driveway. The road here is an extension. There's an extension to the existing road as well as the utilities. The utility tie-ins are, for the most part, down here. The utilities are brought to this facility and brought on site. The road is extended, and then as Steve was sharing with the master plan, there's future development plan to the east, and so these utilities would be stubbed out here for future expansion and extension, and they've been sized appropriately. We've also got public parking, staff parking. Here is kind of a large animal area here for horses and cattle. I've done a number of animal facilities. This one has the whole gamut of animals, horses, goats, sheep, fighting roosters, rabbits, just about anything comes into this facility. So they've planned a nice barn area out here for the larger animals with a pasture area in this area. And then they also have a very active volunteer group as part of their operation here. So we have volunteer space within the facility. And then these volunteers will come and walk the dogs. And so we have some nice dog walking areas that we're utilizing some of these unusual triangular shapes of the site to accommodate those functions there. Okay, go on next. This kind of outlines our process. This is the two-step process that is typical with a lot of design-build projects. DBIA recognizes this two-step process, which is an RFQ, RFP. The county calls their RFQ the RSOQ, Request for Statement of Qualifications. Those are they are going to the board, I believe, August 21st to get approval to release that. That document is very close to being completed and ready to release. That's going to be a fairly standard RFQ with questionnaires requesting information on experience. The team structure is going to be very important. Things like teams that have worked together, have experience working together, financial capacity, reference projects, similar type projects, and so forth is going to be very important. There may be interviews, there may not be. If the county elects to do interviews, we may interview up to 5 firms, probably no more than the 5 firms, and then we would pare that down to the top 3 firms. Submittals will be evaluated and scored. IRFS's highest ranking 3 submitters will be invited to participate in the next step. And we're allowing about 6 or more weeks for you to prepare that statement of qualifications. Once we identify the top 3 firms, the RFP will be issued, and all this will be made available on the county's website. And usually we'll allow about two weeks or so for that RFP to be out in your hands before we schedule one of several confidential meetings. And for those of you that have done design build, you're probably familiar with that. And that's an opportunity for the design build entities to come to the confidential meeting, to ask questions, to request additional information that they may need from the county, to start formulating maybe their design concepts and vetting that in these confidential meetings with the county, and kind of presenting and testing, if you will, your approach to the project. That information, the reason it's called confidential meeting, is kept in confidence. It is not shared with any of the other competitors. Questions and responses are between the county and the DBE entity. Anything that comes out of those meetings that is kind of standard, maybe a clarification to the drawings or something like that, would be issued as addendum to all of the 3 DBE firms. We'd go through the standard addendum process. Any RFIs that you deemed were not confidential to your firm would again be addressed and answered in an addendum and issued through the RFP timeframe. Then you'll be submitting your proposals with your design concepts and how you want to construct the facility. We are really looking for innovation. We've identified a budget for the project of $10 million. We've identified a project that the county wants, that works, and we're trying to get that facility for that budget. But we're very open to innovation. We're very open to value engineering. We've, through our estimating process and programming this, we've identified a series of deductive alternates that you'll see listed on the site plan over there of things that would potentially be considered if we had to cut costs to get within budget. The county would like to get as many of those deductive alternates as possible within that budget. They'd like to get it all. But we're open to options. We're open to value propositions from the DBEs. Then when we get through that, we will schedule interviews with each of the firms for them to come in and present their design concepts, present their approach to the project, their estimated costs, and then we'll evaluate that, and then the county will make a selection and an award. Because of the size of this project and the development of the bridging documents, the extent that we took it to, the county would not be providing a stipend on this particular project. They were looking at it as a kind of a standard proposal, cost of doing business. And then we're allowing about 6 to 8 weeks for you to put that together from receipt of the RFP through the interviews and presentations. This is just kind of an overview, kind of a standard design build org chart. Obviously, the DBE entity would contract directly with the county. Kitchell is a construction manager, and Swapmeyers is a master architect, will be retained and stay involved throughout the course of construction, your design and construction. We'll be reviewing your design submittals at the different progressive states, and we'll be overseeing on the county's behalf the construction of the facility. And then, of course, the DBE entity could be contractor-led, could be designer-led, could be a DBE firm. However that structure works out, would be working with their contractors, subcontractors, design architects, and sub-consultants, and obviously would be the architect of record for the project. Kind of the standard org chart for this project. All right.
Let me get back into a little bit about the project goals. So I guess Rick talked a lot about the RSOQ, the RFP process, and I think the items that are weighed heavier are design build experience first. Experience with similar facilities is obviously a benefit too, and even collaboration amongst teams. If you have previous history working with a certain team, that probably will weigh higher. So we are looking. We've looked at DBIA, credentialed staff as being preferred. But we would encourage local subcontractors, design teams to partner up here as well. I mean, part of the reason that our director wanted this outreach meeting is to interface with the local design and construction community and engineers, and really get this out there for you guys to start early in the process and start networking and developing teams that are going to be competitive in the process. So we hope that we can do that here. So past history, local presence, but more than anything, innovation and collaboration is pretty key with a project like this. What you see there for a developed floor plan may look, or site plan, it's, there probably is some room for consideration, definitely. I mean, bring more innovation and more of a collaborative effort, and it likely will be rewarded in the process. What we want here is to construct a legacy project, a county facility that the community can be proud of. And like Rob mentioned earlier, it's not just City of SLO, or this is like a county-wide facility. So everybody from South County, through San Luis and Coastal, everybody's kind of in on the animal services facility. Quality facility with exceptional construction that meets and exceeds the user's needs for decades to come. Like the master plan, we're planning long term at the county with facilities, and this facility would be no exception. We want the project to be within budget and on time, and avoid claims. That's very important for the client and county admin and public works as well. And we're looking at the best value. We're going for the best value through the RSOQ process and the design build process, but the best product, I think, is an important feature here as well. And let me just address real quick the timeline, where we've been. The project has been active for better part of a couple years. We've been back and forth with an MOA between the county and the cities, and I think finally things have started to resolve as far as that's concerned. The county did approve an amendment to the MOA recently in June, and the cities are on track to kind of do the same thing. So what we're looking at today, up ahead of us, this August 21st date, is the board action to approve issuance of the RSOQ, and that will be on the public purchase website. We've also kind of made links through our Public Works Animal Services homepage, on the county web. But most of the information on the RSOQ will go through public purchase and our purchasing department and be available, for review by all of you and those interested. So we'd be looking at board action, issuance of the RFP, on the current schedule, approximately November, later this year of 2018 would be the RFP, and then a few months to select and enter into the design build contract with that successful design build entity. So February of 2019, we believe that, through fast track and expedited permitting, that we could reach like a construction date of approximately a year from July, right now. So July of 2019, and the construction time frame is approximately a year and a half. So early part of 2021, we'd be able to, finalize the project and be wrapping it up. So that kind of outlines the draft schedule, at least. Some of these things will be, in play as we go forward. So we're going to ask, have some question and answer, and I would just ask that for the people who are, on the web stream, if you do, we'll bring a mic over to you so it's not garbled and everybody can hear who's on the web stream as well. Anybody? Here we go.
Great presentation, by the way. Thank you. Is there a copy or a handout of the presentation? A lot of facts were presented. Is there something available?
Yeah, to address that, we are going to have the video. Since this is a live stream, we're recording audio and the video, and so we'll make that available on both public purchase, I believe, and the county website. So we're the link, and we can send you to that link. If you go to County Public Works Projects, you'll see the Animal Services Facility, and that'll direct you to. It'll take us a couple days to get this compressed and ready for upload to the website, but the whole thing will be recorded and available for review.
So in addition to that, we will also post the sign-in sheet so you can see who your peers or competitors are.
Another question? Here we go.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. I didn't hear if there was a soils report or not, because I didn't know that we were going to have liquefaction on this side of the site. So are we looking at, it's going to be friction like it's been out there all along, or do we have a report that would help us out with that?
Yeah, there was a preliminary soils report done out there. There was one done, I think, with the master plan, and then they had another preliminary done specifically on this site. And the geotech report required deep friction footings down, I think, 48 feet to rock with the grade beams. We did the juvenile hall, the same type foundation system. And that was quite costly. We threw an estimate out that, and it was significant. So we went out and we looked at other options. One of the other options the soil report recommended was the soil remediation. And so we reached out there to look at the different systems, and I think we priced the stone column, the drilled stone column system, and it was significantly cheaper. So we thought, okay, that's an option. And so, yeah, it's a real problem. We even looked at over-X and recompact, but the soil engineer said you'd have to take it all out. I mean, it's just the potential's there of problems down the road and any kind of seismic activity with the liquefaction, even deep, even if you over-X 10 feet, it'd still be a problem. So.
Yeah. I mean, we have bedrock at 33 feet, or between 30 and 36 or 38 feet there. So, and that's pretty much very similar to all the soil conditions that we have under all those facilities out there, including the new juvenile hall expansion and the women's jail have dealt with this in different methods, definitely. But we would be open to an innovative system if the DBE, design build entity was willing to, bring something new to the table for sure.
Anybody else?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. The geotech report will be available with the RFP package. We're at draft level with the bridging documents, so we're, these will be released when the RFP goes out later in the year in approximately November. The final version of the bridging criteria documents. Anybody else?
No, no problem.
So, if I'm understanding right, we've got the bridging documents already. We've kind of been looking through them, but the RFP documents, which are really super important to create a team, you've kind of given us an outline, but that document's not going to be available until November. Is there any way to get even a draft of that so we can kind of look at the DB relationship? Because that's
we're just starting with actually the development of the RFP. We've worked with the county to get the RSOQ developed and ready. We're just in the infancy of the RFP development. Yeah.
We actually moved the schedule up for pre-solicitation for this RSOQ so you guys could, our fear was putting even the draft bridging documents up too early, but the decision was made that, we want to share that information. So, we'll see how it goes with the RFP, but if we have a draft level that, we want to release ahead of time there, I'm not speaking for, it's possible that information could become available too, or. Yeah, what's your,
I was just commenting that the RFP would be too late for forming your team. You have to have that at the statement of qualifications level. So we need to know what you're looking for at that level, or at that point in time, to put together the team that'll be a successful team.
Yeah, well, there will be a criteria in the RSOQ of kind of what we're looking for, and there obviously is going to be scored appropriately. But the RFP is going to be pretty much the bridging documents. It's going to be the scoring, what we're going to weigh and score to determine who the appropriate firm is. A lot of it's going to be priced based on value. And it's going to be based on the innovation and the value that you bring more than anything. So, yeah, the team's going to have to be established in the RSOQ and that relationship. And that experience together, that's all going to have to be vetted through the RSOQ process.
That is like the driver for the RSOQ is like, has the team work together? What's the experience with design build, and what's the experience with animal shelters or similar type facilities. I think it's going to be less on anything to do with and financial and some other.
Yeah, when we get to the
like
RFP, we're going to want to see what your design concepts are, what your value proposition is. That's what we're going to be focused on at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So.
You said you had another question. No, did that cover it? Okay. Nobody else?
Well, we really appreciate the turnout here, and appreciate you guys taking the time. And we wanted to do this in the evening to try to accommodate schedules. I know you guys are all busy. It's a busy market out there right now. So appreciate you guys taking the time to be here and ask questions. And there's going to be a lot more information coming out, and we'll be communicating with you guys. So
you can ask questions on the public purchase as well in written form. I think maybe after we issue the RSOQ. So, feel free to check back there early and often, because we'll try to get, questions answered as quickly as possible there.
Yeah, the RSOQ is going to be posted to public purchase, and so that would be where you'd ask the official RFIs. That since we're live now on public purchase with the bridging document drafts, you can actually submit RFIs through public purchase. If there's questions you thought about afterwards, that we can, consider posting responses via that. But the official posting of the request for statements of qualification will be on public purchase starting August 21st, as soon as it's approved by the board.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. Appreciate it.